Hey friends, Wayne over here at the Ram Man. Wanted to go over some helpful information. Hey, there's the best way to get in touch with me. You know, I get these people, emails is probably not the best way. And especially since the pandemic, nobody puts their phone number in there. Well, 8 out of 10 people that email me, they don't even put a phone number in there. And they put a lot of work in there. I'll get these 2 or 3 page diatribes about these complicated hydraulic issues or this and that. You know, usually by the time I get people, they've exhausted their local sources and internet and forums and all that bullshit. And so it's a last ditch effort. They contact me and then we usually get it solved in just a couple minutes. But anyway, so I get a printout, and I like calling people back and talking to them. That's the fun part of my job. Keeping up with the machine shop and 3 or 4 monkeys is not fun to me anymore. Talking to cool people, doing cool shit on cool buggies, that's fun. So anyway, I got a little bit more free time in the last couple of months. Of course, you never have too much free time, but whenever there's kind of a situation or a problem, I like to make when I can, I like to make a video of it so that I can assist some other people in the future. So I got a client that's doing a rear disc brake kit. One of our simple ones with the bolt-on brackets and the 3 fasteners, and he's asking about spacers and this and that and what the material is. And so we've been doing this a long time. So we usually get the right parts in there, and when we mock these up, we're using the same axles, the same tubs, the same hubs is what's on your truck. So that's typically why we don't run into any problems. Now, on these older axle tubes, you know, this wasn't robotic welding, this is individual, some beads are bigger than other beads, and yada yada yada. Especially this is a late 60s Dana 70, this is specifically for the Jeep 715, and you can tell that it's a dually because this flange is set really far inside. That's how you can recognize a dually. And you know, here's your spring perch right here. And typically, you know, our spacers typically go on the outside of the flange. And like for this particular situation, these 715 spacers, they're notched. They're notched because, well, typically you don't see this, but you see this ridge right here? This is not found on later axles, but you need to have the capability, like the Marines used to tell us, right? Adapt and overcome. And typically, your caliper bracket plate goes on like this, and almost always the long arm is on the top, vertical, and of course, now when it comes to your fasteners, your bolts per se, it doesn't matter whether you come in from this side or that side, it's all up to you. There's different spacers, there's 4, 5 different length bolts. You know, this client was talking about how his spring perch is in the way, like this one, so he can't get the bolt in. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what direction the bolt goes in. It doesn't matter whether the head's outboard or inboard, or if you mix them up or you you want the nuts out on this side, that is completely up to you. That's just being fluid and adapting to the situation. So that's what that's about. And then, of course, moving on, oftentimes, especially on these older ones, this is kind of stuff that, it's intuitive for a lot of people, but some people, well, I tell you what, technology and apps and all this, these new things, that's not intuitive for me. Linking up bank accounts, this, that, emails, back and forth, passcodes, two-step verification, three-step, all that old bullshit, that is not intuitive for me. But one of my little 22-year-old monkeys, I tell them, hey, load this square up, or hey, load this up. Shoot, 17 seconds. 17 seconds, the little bastard's done. And I farted around with it all day long the previous day. And of course, coming to our axle tubes too. So these flanges are all a little bit different. Sometimes you might need to notch this thing, which with an angle grinder like this one. This one's been notched just a little bit, the back side. It's really, really fast with a new blade. I mean, really. There it is. 15 seconds or less, you hauled it out. So, depending on your situation, on some of these tubes, here's our bolt. If we come through on this side with our head, it's notched out just right or whatever, so basically we don't even have to use a wrench. It sits down right there. So I took some time and I notched these 3 notches, and you can clean it up. You can clean this up with a file. I know some people that have even used something like this right there coming in. So there's a multitude of tools that you can use to accomplish this mission. Once again, it doesn't matter what direction your bolts come from. So that, if it won't go there, then obviously it needs to be flipped around. So, like I said earlier, intuitive. And of course, so, alright, so let's just say that we're going to flip this bolt around, and all of a sudden you run into a problem with a hex nut, won't quite go over all the way. Like I said, these older tubes and stuff, 80s, 60s, 70s, and 80s especially, they're different. Different people were putting them together. These were wire feed guys and stick welders, but anyway. So, like this situation, I shifted the nut around, so, just on my little bench grinder, I just flattened off one side so I could put it right there so it would line up with the holes. Got another nut right here, just flattened off. So anyway, just want you to be flexible and adaptable. And yeah, so depending on your situation, it may take you another 10 minutes, but I tell you what, the results are going to blow you away. The results are going to blow you away, because not only do you get better braking and it's repeatable, but once you've got that full wheel disc brakes, you've got that true linear braking. And that's why you're able just to creep like your modern car. It's directly proportional to your pedal. With those drum brakes, back brakes engage first so you don't spin around, right? You push on the pedal, and because of the wheel cylinders, and then you got the levers and the push rods, and then the pads begin to move over take the springs and the shoes begin to move out. They're kind of slow compared to disc brakes. So push the pedal, push the pedal, push the pedal, push the pedal, and then all of a sudden, they come right on. That's why drum brakes are not linear. They're more like this on a graph. They're more like this. Push on the pedal, push on the pedal, so you got your 45 exponential, whatever, and then all of a sudden, it angles way up because they're gravity. So that's why that's like that. But on true four-wheel disc brakes, it's typically absolutely linear. That's why you have so much control with a four-wheel disc brake car. You know, you can set a little, I don't know, you can set a little cap up in front of the front tire like that, and you can just, if you're good and know your vehicle, you can like creep one tire right up on that cap. You try that in a drum brake car and to get back with me. So that's that control factor. But anyway, so when it comes to mounting your caliper bracket, all you need to do is be just a little bit fluid and adaptable to your particular situation, and you shouldn't have too much trouble. And I tell you what, it ain't near like trying to get this all situated like a competitor. Get this all situated. Got to be absolutely vertical, can't move, and then try to weld this on. Got to get this all clean, jig this up, and try to weld it all on without moving that bracket at all. Boy, I tell you what, yeah, I got people calling me all the time telling me about that nightmare. Yep. So anyway, God bless you. God bless America, and I hope this helps at least one person. Bye.